So, great. Good morning, everybody. We're going to try to keep this really informal today, just really solicit questions and ensure that we are meeting the mark with questions, concerns, program areas where we need to further advance work. I will tell you that we are staying super busy, trying to do as much as we can with the work that is purely 21E related. There's still a lot of work that we're doing on the Superfund front, for example, still requesting removal actions when needed to advance intricacies of Superfund projects that need a little bit of infusion of other federal programs. We're still successful being able to at least communicate and articulate our needs with Region 1. Also, the AOL policy, I know the guidance, Barton, that guidance, we are pretty much all done with the guidance, and now we just need an extra go ahead sign off from the Commissioner's office just to release it. So I know that there was communication, as Ken can attest to that we are on that final mark.
Yeah, it might even be today, but we'll fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. So we just want to at least, and then as we spoke at the advisory committee a few weeks back, the next steps will be for us to have an email blast that Ken is going to be sent out, a little bit of more substance to it regarding here's the AOL guidance, anticipate, for example, training sessions, a Q&A, those types of things. So we will be working to ensure that we have the complete compendium that will support active use limitation guidance. Likewise, I know we posted the TCE memo. I don't know, Ken, if you want to speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, in the blast for this meeting, there was the links to the TCE memo response that DEP prepared in response to the LSPA white paper from a year or two ago. It's pretty complicated and gets into the weeds on TCE evaluation. So if you're interested in that, the links are attached to the email that had the notice for this meeting right now. So. And I don't know if Greg Braun will be able to join us. Unfortunately, he's sick. I know he was sick as a dog this week. He said he would try to join this morning, but I don't see him on yet. So if you have questions, technical questions, he's the contact.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
The letters are up.
Letters are up. Perfect. Along the lines of risk assessment guidance, we are going to be meeting with Greg again. He's been indisposed the past couple of days. But just to basically get a little bit more formality, internal sort of scheduling on the chapters. And we heard the advisory committee loud and clear when they said we'd rather have the packet rather than just sort of chapters here and there with no rhyme and reason. So we're going to be pulling together a package. And of course, LSPA has been wonderful assisting us with getting people to review the actual chapters and the content, technical content, and we will be doing that. So stay tuned. That might be actually an email blast. I don't know if Wendy's on the line, but just again, coordinating with the LSPA has always been advantageous for the department.
Hi, Melly. This is Wendy.
Oh, hi, Wendy.
Yeah, hi.
How are you? Good morning.
Fine. Hi, sorry. We're happy to coordinate, and we just wanted to follow up from the last advisory committee meeting where it sounded like there was some uncertainty about what was the order of the chapters that would come out and a rough schedule. So yeah, we're happy to assist in whatever way we can.
Perfect. You should have an answer very soon because it's just been a matter of coordinating schedules.
Sure.
My schedule as well, and Greg being out sick. But in any event, we will ensure that we have that. We're very motivated to get that risk assessment guidance out.
If I can interrupt, I know that they're still hopefully close to finishing the method 3 chapter. I think at the advisory committee meeting, you guys and everybody seemed to think that it would be best to release these in order, not in a haphazard order, but in the actual order of guidance itself. So
Agree.
risk assessment, or the method 3 risk assessment piece should be coming, I hope, sooner. I wish, like I said, Greg would have a better update on that. And I know the eco risks chapters depend on Nancy Bettinger, who had been out of pocket for a while, but I hear she's back and available. So again, Greg can give us a better update on the timing of that. But that's been one of the issues.
Thank you.
Right. Why don't we pivot a little bit to EDP? And I believe that Brian Roden and Seldrin might be on the line. We had some issues, and we're going to really keep it at a very high level, just in the interest of sort of laying the framework for the discussion.
Too. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we will. You know, it's funny.
Okay.
My daughter just she's home
Excuse
from
me,
break,
Lauren.
and last night she played them.
Hey, Lauren, good morning. If you don't mind just muting yourself, that'd be great.
So she'll
Thank you. All right, so Selden and Ryan, why don't you provide us, maybe we can start with Brian, provide us with an overview of just a technical issue that we encountered EDEP, and I think obviously with EDEP being an instrument for us, both internal and external customers, we want to ensure that folks are fully aware of the situation, and we're back in production, I believe. So I don't know if Brian, you want to kick it off, and then Seldrin, you can kind of jump in a little bit more on the technical front.
Sure. Yeah, so an issue came up, which was specifically with on the data portal searchable sites, the regulatory status field. You know, as most of you know, that regulatory status field reflects where the RTN is in the process of the MCP. And as, you know, LSPs file certain submittals, it'll change. The process to actually update that field was taking a lot longer than it should. It's an automated process, and that would result in the field being blank for most of the morning and into the afternoon, and then finally it was populated at night. And you know, we had a couple LSPs reach out and say what's going on, which again we really appreciate. We know that's a tool that LSPs, consultants, internal staff use all the time, and we can't monitor it all at times. So if you guys see issues on searchable sites, please feel free to don't hesitate to send an email to bwsc.edep@mass.gov. It's right on the website there. It's the best way to get communication to us. So anyways, the regulatory status was showing up blank. We identified the issue. We worked with Wayside Cleanup, worked with Seldrin, who worked with EEAIT and is implementing a new process, which will officially go into effect on Monday. And it's very like I didn't follow the technical IT speak, but basically they found a way to make the process happen quicker and more reliable, and so it shouldn't result in blank data, and the field should be updated daily. So hopefully moving forward on Monday, that regulatory status field will be fine and it'll be updated daily and it'll be accurate. The only issue is because they need to implement this new process. They need to do a whole data refresh, which is going to start Friday night, this Friday, and Seldon, correct me if I'm wrong here, at 8 p.m. and it's anticipated to last into Saturday to about noon, and then after that it should be functioning as is.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. And Seldrin, if you want to introduce yourself, I appreciate your participating in this coffee hour, office hour monthly for the site cleanup group.
Good morning, everyone. I'm from DEP Enterprise Information Office. We're the liaison between all the bureaus and the EAIT. So for this particular issue, as Brian mentioned, regulatory status becomes blank. It was really because it's the behind the scene. The way IT implemented was they're like dumping every night, recreating those process. Regulatory status was just one of the process. Behind the scene, there are a lot of more calculated fields. So it's just taking too long. And over the last few weeks, what IT did was that they have implemented a new process that is they're only, instead of dumping all the RTNs, recalculate the regulatory status, they were only adding the new ones. So every day we probably have 10, 15 RTNs created. It only focused on all those newly added RTN and making changes. And this way, they were significantly reducing the time from like 4 to 12 hours of recreating data to just under a couple of minutes. And this is a huge improvement. As Brian mentioned, that with this approach, we should be able to do daily updates. So the new RTN's regulatory status will be updated once every day. Towards the end of the day, the process runs 6, 7 p.m., but it will be updated every day. And because the performance improvement, we don't expect the data will be empty. So the thing, as Brian mentioned, Friday, in order to do this daily loading, we have to do a one last time of refresh, deleting everything RTN related, our status, and it will recalculate starting from 8 p.m. on Friday. We expect it's probably 4 to 12 hours. Sometimes it does finish early, depending on the resource available. So no more than 10 hours. So we expect by 10 a.m. on Saturday, everything should be back to normal. And going forward, every day, there'll be a daily refresh. And we hope this issue will be resolved. And of course, this is a new solution. We just put it in. If you find any issues, please contact the email address that Brian shared, and we'll continue work on the improvement. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Seldrin. Much appreciated. And we appreciate the very responsive assistance when we raise our hand. You were right there to assist. And I know that we continue to work on EDP and basically augmenting all the features and optimizing many more, including an internal project that basically envisions to bring forth all of our old, quote, old data. And therefore, that's sort of unifying the historical data with a new EDP sort of bare data. So we have one united front on all data universes. So Seldrin, keep us posted. And I think we are soliciting also, we're working with Seldrin and her team to devise a strategy for early warning communication when an issue arises and we start getting comments on the hotline. That's very important for me so that folks are aware, both again, internal staff, DEP auditors, site managers, et cetera, looking for information like what's going on. And obviously external folks that may go through various offices of MassDEP wondering what is going on with the DEP. So we will be meeting next week with Seldrin again and her team to come up with some kind of strategy regarding when is it that that we should be able to send out an email blast, and obviously, again, working with Wendy and others to say, hey, there's something funky that's going on here. You're not going crazy. There's the system is down, or there's something that's broken that needs fixing. So any ideas welcomed on that front. Transparency and communication is very important for me. So yeah, we will be brushing up a little bit on the communication strategy with a meeting next week that we'll be holding with Seldrin. So I don't know, Wendy, any ideas when, for example, when LSPs come to you looking for guidance or, hey, have you heard? I mean, we definitely want to also join in with the LSPA and sort of get at the communication strategy.
Thanks for asking. You know, sometimes we hear and usually it's a situation that has already been reported to DEP, and then we find that, you know, you all are very responsive. If there's a short write-up or something that you would like to prepare for us regarding this weekend, we're happy to blast it out to our members. So if anyone's doing anything over the weekend and expecting to access that, they find it down, then they'll know why.
Okay.
We're always happy to send it out. We can usually send it out within a few hours after we receive something from DP.
Awesome. We'll work on that.
Yep.
We
thanks.
appreciate that. Thank you, Wendy. Okay. Anything else, Brian Seldrin, on EDP per se? We're good there? Okay. We did want to talk a little bit at least, just give you all either a heads up or just any kind of compliance letters, and I know that we're working on some compliance letters. I'll leave it up to Brian to talk about, I think maybe the April one.
Sure. So we've done this in the past before. Again, this is a regulation. We send out the annual certification for those properties which have achieved a permanent solution, and that permanent solution relies on the operation of an active exposure pathway mitigation measure. And that certification is for the current property owner, not necessarily the party that filed the permanent solution. So that's, the property could have transferred, and a lot of times they do. So they may or may not be your clients now, but if they are, appreciate you reaching out to them. So those annual certifications were dropped in the mail earlier this week. The property owners again certify 5 things in that certification: that they have the financial resources to operate their system, that the system is operating, they're aware of the system, the AUL, and they will allow DEP to inspect it upon reasonable notice. Obviously, again, these properties have AULs that lock the APM in and require to operate to mitigate the vapor intrusion pathway. In total, 74 letters were sent out. Those letters, I think, are now up on the data portal, and if they aren't today, they will be very soon. So if you had an RTN where, again, you were the LSP, and the site closed out with a permanent solution with an APM, if you want to find that letter and alert that property owner, feel free. As was the case last year, there was a new regulation in the 2024 MCP that we could request a shutdown restart test. We wrote that into the letter again this year. So we're asking the property owners to do a shutdown restart test as part of the certification to show that the telemetry is working. Again, the APM regulation to achieve a permanent solution went into effect in 2014. So for some of these sites, it's been, almost 10 years that they've been out there. And so this is a good point to make sure that the remote telemetry is working, so that we know the system is operating the way it is. So any questions on those letters? Great. And as we receive the certifications back from the current property owners, those will be posted to the data portal as well. So everyone will be publicly available. All right. Anything else to add, Ken? Or Millie?
Yeah, no, we just wanted to make sure that folks knew. And again, Wendy, if you want for us to do a little short write-up, we're happy to do that. Just as a compliance tip for folks to know, those letters are already out there in the property owner's hands, domains. So
That'd be terrific.
Just let us know.
Yeah, you can do it. We can do them along with the notice about EDP, or we could do them separately, whatever you want. Whenever you send it off, we'll post it that day.
Okay.
Thanks.
Of course. Let's see. So I see John Ziegler here on the line. I know that we continue to support external meetings at various locations, including, for example, the Mass Health Officers Association meetings. And I know, John, you've been sort of on the chit chat circle for a few weeks now. So maybe you can kind of just recap all of the various meetings you've been attending, maybe questions. I know that there are a lot of questions that are, again, involve septics. That's a big topic that we are working on right now and coordinating with the wastewater group, Bureau of Water Resources. But in addition to that, also, we are also fielding a lot of questions with regards to property owners that are maybe considering sampling, but then obtaining the results and concerned about notifying the MassDEP. So we definitely want to speak to that. John, you've been advising folks in various circles that MassDEP is still interested. Obviously, if you have a notification condition, don't sit on it. We've got ways to assist homeowners. And despite obviously 21E being what it is with joint several liability, we still work on a compliance mode with homeowners. So in any event, John, why don't you just give us a little bit of insight regarding your travels and what you're hearing?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Millie. Yeah, as Millie mentioned, I think I've been at several meetings this past month, and another one coming up with the LSPA Environmental Symposium on April 15th. So I'll be doing more of a waste site cleanup update, and I'm in the midst of preparing for that presentation now. So I imagine I'll see several of you there. I did have the opportunity to talk to the Mass Health Officers Association, and one of the messages that I wanted to give to everyone was the notification requirements for private well owners. We are aware of some situation where private well owners may not be aware of the notification requirement for detection of PFAS in their private well. We certainly want to get that message out. We do have ability to help in these regards. Certainly if there's an imminent hazard, as we have been doing now for several years, any concentration at or above 90 nanograms per liter where we don't have a PRP or the PRP is unable or unwilling to do the work, MassDEP does step in. We will immediately provide bottled water, followed by installation of a point of entry treatment system. And currently we have 59 systems installed. We operate them for about 2 years before turning them over. And you've probably heard me say this if you've attended any of the recent meetings. So we're continuing that program. We are trying to get word out. Like Millie said, we can help private well owners. Unfortunately, there is not funding to help address all detections of PFAS in private wells, but we can certainly be a technical resource and talk about associated risks. And so if you are encountering questions from homeowners, please let us know. The other thing I will mention is it really helps with our source discovery efforts to know if there are areas that we are seeing detections in private wells. We do want to know about these because it does help with our source discovery efforts. Some of the other things that we're working on, we're up to 191 notifications on PFAS. I realize obtaining a list from the EA data portal is somewhat difficult because you have to enter all the various combinations of how PFAS was entered. So we are trying to put together a story map similar to what has been done for the public water systems and the private well data. So if you've seen that on our PFAS page, we're hoping to do something similar for waste site cleanup. So that's in the works. Other things that we're working on, and I know we've said this several times, but I think this is truly very, very close, is issuing the CAM protocol for EPA method 1633. So hopefully that's very close to being issued. Other things that we've heard from folks, particularly at the EBC meeting, was the issue regarding septics. We recognize this issue, and we are researching potential contribution of PFAS from septics. We don't have anything currently. We don't have any anything currently on that, but that is something that is a high priority for us, and we're looking into. Another thing we've heard about is updating our sampling and analysis guidance, both from internal staff and external folks. That was last updated in November 2023. So that's probably several months out, but we are working on updating that guidance. And I would just encourage folks, if you have questions pertaining to your site, is to reach out to one of the regional folks, or you can reach out to me and I can help coordinate a response on that. And yeah, I think that's it for the PFAS updates right now. So happy to take any questions this morning as well.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway, John, is making sure that folks know that, we do want to know if there are, first of all, education with the homeowner private properties, especially if it's a potential imminent hazard. And, just our main goal was to ensure that we broker that conversation with the boards of health, the first sort of line of defense when it comes to homeowners picking up the phone and calling municipalities is usually the boards of health. So the message was very much directed at boards of health to say MassDEP is here, especially, sometimes you get copies of results. And if you notice that there's an imminent hazard, we do have that statutory obligation to address imminent hazards, no matter what. So, and I do see a question from Mr. Dalton, GZA. Which method will be included in the forthcoming CAM protocol?
Yeah, sorry, it's method 1633.
John, that's going to be a document that's going to be available for public comment.
I think it's just going to be issued as final, Melody.
No, the CAM protocols are all being updated, including the PFAS one, and they are final documents, but they've been through exhaustive review. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, just a quick little note for folks. If you do have municipal clients, fire departments, MassDEP's PFAS AFFF foam take back program is still alive. We actually, Kathy Kiley is running point on that program with assistance from John Ziegler and Amita also as the PFAS assistant to John on PFAS matters. So we are coordinating, again, sending the word out to all municipalities. If you have 5-gallon pails or something, call the MassDEP. We will happily arrange for pickup of the foam and proper disposal. So that's still live. We heard actually from 2 municipalities this past week. So we're arranging for their pickup. Let's see. I don't know if David Foss is here, so we can pivot to brownfields if there's anything to be checked in.
I am here. If you have municipal clients who may need help with environmental assessment, we have our statewide, what's called the Community-Wide Assessment Grant, CWAG, and our kind of target audience is municipalities, nonprofits, CDCs, and so please have it's great if the request comes from a municipality, but sometimes they're having their consultant help them with the vocabulary and the paperwork. And then the other bigger thing is that we'll be running our Brownfields Roundtables this spring. I need to make sure I get my dates confirmed because my EPA project officer might ask me to delay 1 or 2 of them because we don't know exactly when the EPA will announce the next grant cycle, and we don't want to have a conflict there. But we will be having our Brownfields Roundtables. The plan is to do them in Taunton, Billerica, Worcester, and Greenfield this year. And so hopefully you will all have an opportunity to either attend or highlight those for your clients and people who can take advantage of these opportunities. I was on a call with our EPA lead person from Washington, D.C. earlier this week, and the expectation is that, we don't know exactly what the dollar amounts are, but that the Brownfields funding program will kind of continue in the same form that it has. So hopefully that means we MassDEP, and then Mass Development has their state funding, and then the Yukon tab people can provide technical assistance. So you know how to reach me. I'm glad to provide assistance. And if you have municipal or nonprofit clients who may need help with assessment, please reach out.
All right. So that's pretty much sort of our updates on the various programs. We continue to move forward, technical financial support with the cost recovery, with technical assistance, contracting, that's still moving along. And I know on the hiring front, we are evaluating responses from candidates that affirmed interest in the 2 federal positions, in addition to also the data manager position. So for the information systems position. So moving on with just closing out those vacancies. So I will open it up for anybody with questions at this time. Questions, comments? Dave? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thank you. I think I caught just at the beginning, you said responding to things happening in DC, and just curious how much funding does DEP get, if any, from the federal government, and what would the response to that be?
Yeah. So the good news is that every single dollar counts, obviously, but we are mostly sustained by capital funds and line items. I know our site cleanup capital budget is around 8 mil, and we do obviously receive funding from the feds. But thus far, I can ascertain that we have not seen any tangible negative impacts. I cannot speak for my Bureau of Water Resources or the Bureau of Air and Waste. I'm a little bit more focusing on our shop here to make sure that we are safeguarding our programmatic territory, to say. But I will say, for example, working with Diane Baxter, who is the manager for the Federal Bureau, the federal programs, grants programs, and also David Foss. What's been the pulse of your community? We have not seen any significant slowdowns. I think what it is we'll get some sort of random conversation that says, oh, there's a work stop here for a Superfund site, but somehow it works itself out. I think honestly, our work is progressing, which is really good news. And obviously, there's a lot of anxiety about funding right now and what's going to happen. We also count obviously on the environmental bond bill, and a lot of the work we basically put forth our desires and wishes, justifications, rationale, and then it navigates for decision making above the department. So between those two, we have some trusts also that have been established. So I would argue that we are continuing to move forward on our work, and in fact, not standing back on the work that we've already planned for the remainder of the fiscal year and the calendar year. But
thank you.
Dave,
that is good news.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. And I do appreciate this phone call, this question on this call, because I think it basically signals that we need to remain connected. If you hear anything, we want to learn about it. If we hear anything, we want to tell you about it. So we are continuing to keep a watchful eye on this topic.
Yeah, thank you. And I meant to say at first that thanks for having these calls too. They're really quite awesome. So yeah, appreciate the forum.
Can't take the credit for it. It goes back to Paul and Liz. And I think this kind of started back in COVID. So as a way to keep us connected, and it's great to have you guys participate, everybody here, all these professionals. It only makes us a little bit stronger when it comes to understanding the pulse of the community and what you need, what we need to focus on. And always drop me a line if you feel like, hey, what's going on with this in this area of the program? It's been quiet. it needs improvement, or there's a Q&A that is not, we need a Q&A. So that's really what makes us at least, connected between the department and the LSPA, the LSP, and obviously now the board is joining in with information that they present at at the advisory meetings. So thank you so much, Dave. Anybody else? Wendy, anything fun coming up from the LSPA front? The golf season is upon us.
Well, I think that would be Larry Feldman's
Yeah,
area of specialty.
June 12th. June 12th is the tournament at Highfields again, and we still have room for some foursomes.
Awesome.
Yeah, and if by any chance the DP would like to have a foursome in there, we could work something out.
All right, we'll have to bring George Gardner back from retirement.
Yeah.
My game is not that great, so it will add
Yeah.
some, it will impart some comical relief though.
We all need that. We all need that.
Unrelated to golf, but I'll take this opportunity, thanks Millie, to say that some of you may know that the LSPA has had the privilege, I guess, of having someone on the 21J board filling the public interest seat. And that's Paul McNeil from Williamson Environmental. He's been on the 21J board for, I believe, 10 years, maybe even more. And he's been a regular participant, and we've very much appreciated having that representation. He has said that he is planning to leave and has asked us to put the word out that seat will be vacant. We're working with DOR and the Governor's Office of Commissions and Boards to identify interested candidates to fill that position. So the position does not need to be filled by an LSP, but someone clearly who has experience in waste site cleanup and understands, to a certain extent at least, the 21J program. And the LSPA can provide more information, or certainly if you know Paul, you can contact him. But let us know if you're interested. We're going to be, we haven't had a lot of volunteers, so we'd love to put, get a few more people on the list and send that list to DOR and the Governor's office. So
Perfect.
shoot an email to info@lspa.org or to myself, and go to our website, whatever. Let us know if you have an interest or even just questions.
Yeah. No, thank you. That's something we need to get the word out. And
I believe all the other seats are filled. I know Ken, you're on the board.
Yeah, there's still from the Petroleum Council is still empty, but there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes on that one, and has been for a long time, that DOR is managing. But
Yep.
yeah, but this position is a key position. I mean, the board consists of a wide variety of folks from different organizations, and this position that could be an LSP. Although Paul McNeil was not an LSP.
Right, you don't have to be an
He should have
LSP.
been, but he never got his license. It's a key position for the board, because the board always can use 21E experience and insight.
yeah, I'll get the word out too, Wendy. So thank you. What is there a deadline associated with this particular sort of like until it's filled?
Until it's filled.
Okay.
And I'm happy to send you the information that I have if you want to
Yeah.
use that as sort of a boilerplate to begin.
Perfect. We'll use LinkedIn and other media to get the word out. Fantastic. I appreciate that, Wendy. All right. Well, we stand ready to assist. We really appreciate everybody coming together on a busy morning. And again, we're always delighted to join in, and we thank you for so much support. And as we continue to navigate interesting choppy waters, I feel as though it's important to to continue to recognize the great work of our fellow employees and friends at the EPA, doing a great job supporting our state. And we will, again, continue to bring about compliance assistance wherever it's needed, just in the spirit of moving sites forward through cleanups that are protective. So thank you. Thank you so much again for taking the time. And feel free to reach out if you need anything. And LSPA, Wendy, I will go ahead and contact you to talk a little bit more about any additional issues that need to be brought forth. Obviously, the schedule with the risk assessment guidance, as well as also EDP communications, something that we're going to be talking about next week internally, and then reaching out. And in the meantime, we'll draft those two little blurbs regarding the work that's happening this week, and also the compliance tip that we spoke about. So
Thank you.
thank you,
Julie.
everybody. Have a wonderful day, and thank you again for joining in. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you,
and
Millie
each
and
other.
Ken.
Thanks,
Bye,
Millie.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye now.